Hi, I'm Bernie from Crafters Companion. Do you love your bag making? Well, we have got a fantastic pattern for you here. This is the Cambridge Carry-All. Look at the size of this bag. It's absolutely amazing. You've got a zip pocket in this side, you've got side pockets, and you've got pockets on the back as well. So if you want to make this bag, keep on watching because we're going to make the Cambridge Carry-All. So when you open your packet at home, what you're going to have is the templates for you to cut all of your pieces out, and they're on 2 sheets, and they have on each one, it'll name what the piece is, what to cut it from, so your outer fabric, your lining, if you're using interfacing and wadding, which is optional. So you have those to cut your pieces out, and then also you get the full instructions in here. You get a chart in the front with everything you're going to need to make the project. You've got a template reference here, which is great because it highlights all of the individual pieces in red. So if you look at this and think, oh, which one's which, you're going to go straight to the booklet and you can see all the details in there. Gives you the instructions of how many pieces to cut, and then step by step with photographs and the written word, all of the steps to complete the bag. So you're going to take your fabric and one of your template pieces. And once you've got your fabric out, it's going to tell you on some of them that it's, say the side pocket here is to place on the fold. So you're going to get the piece on the fold, line up the pattern piece like that, and you're going to draw through all of these notches that are cut out with your heat erasable pen. So you're going to go all the way around with your heat erasable pen, and then you're going to take your scissors or your rotary cutter, cut all your pieces out, and then you're ready to start putting the bag together. So once you cut all your pieces out, you're then going to start stitching them together. You're going to stitch your outer sections out first, so you can interface these or add the wadding on. I'm actually adding my wadding onto my lining, but it's totally up to you. If you're using heavyweight fabric, you don't necessarily need any interfacing or wadding, so totally your choice. So I've got a piece of the main panel here and the handle panel. And then what you're going to do is place them right sides together, matching up the ends. And you're going to stitch with a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way along the top. Once you've got that stitched together, you are then going to top stitch along that seam that you've done. So I've got mine here, and you can top stitch all the way along there, and that gives, it seals the seam, but it also gives a lovely decorative edge on your seam there. The next thing we're going to do is put the outer zip pocket on here on one of these panels. So you're going to take your pocket piece, and also at this point we're going to use our zip insertion tool. So the instructions will tell you how far down to put it. So you're going to be putting it down 1 inch from the top, and it's this 10-inch finished zip that we're going to put in. So on here, we're going to draw around that rectangle part. And if you use your heat erasable pen for this, so you're just going to draw around, and this is going to give us that inset zip. So we're going to draw around that section. And then I like to use a different coloured pen for the next part, which is to draw this line here. So the instructions in a video does accompany the zip insertion tool. If you don't have the tool, in the instructions for the bag, it gives you the instructions on how to do it if you don't have the tool. So I'm just going to draw that line in there. And this is the cut line that we're going to cut shortly. There we go. So we've got that drawn on there. And then you're going to take that outside panel of the bag that you've stitched. And we're going to play this right sides together, 1.5 inches down from that seam that you stitched there. And we'll lay it centrally on the panel. And then next what you're going to do is stitch with a 2mm stitch length all the way around that outer rectangle only. So once you've stitched that, it's going to look like this. There we go. So we've got that outer section stitched, and we've got that red line in the centre that we're now going to cut. So with this, what I like to do is I'll take a small pair of scissors and I'll fold it over in the middle, just a short way, and I'm just going to snip into that red line. You can use a seam ripper, but you only need a little gap in there. And then you're going to cut all the way up the red line. And then those two little sort of legs at the end, you're going to cut up those as well, really close towards the stitches, but not into the stitch. And then I'm going to turn it round. And it does help with having a nice pair of sharp scissors for this, just to get right into that corner. And you're cutting through the pocket piece and the bag section as well. So then once we've got that cut, what you're going to do then is put all of this fabric through that gap, so as if you're putting it through a letterbox. And it does seem a little bit strange at first, but you will see how it comes together. There we go. And once you get it done, you're going to give it a good press. So I like to finger press it first. And if you find that this happens at the corner, can you see how it's all bunching up? What you do is, if you hold either side like that and just give it just a little gentle tug, what you'll see is it does start. You can see how now that's flattened out more than it was, and that's going to help when you press it. So if we turn it to the other side now, we can see how that gap's coming together. And once we've pressed that, we've got our opening ready to put our zip in. So once you've got that all pressed, we're now ready to put the zip in. So you're going to take your zip, and I've cut mine to size here from our Zips on a Roll, and you're going to pop that behind so you can see it through that opening. And you can see there that it fits perfectly. There we go. So then you're going to take this to the machine, and you're going to lengthen your stitch back up, because we did stitch at a 2mm when we were stitching that rectangle. So you're going to stitch all the way around the outside, just close to the edge of the fabric, and that then will fasten the zip in as well. If it helps, you can put your zipper foot on your machine, but you may be able to do it with your standard foot. So give it a try, and if you do struggle, pop your zipper foot on. And then once you've stitched it in, you've got your zip section all stitched in here. So if I open this up, we can see here that we've got the fabric behind, but we've still got an open gap in there. So what we need to do is close the pocket behind. So if we turn this over, you can now see how we've stitched all the way around the outside of there. And then you're going to bring the bottom part of your pocket up and line it up with the top of the raw edge above the zip. So we can just see that the zip's in there, I can feel it in there. And then the next step is to stitch all the way around, but you're only going to be stitching through the pocket. So you're going to be stitching all the way up here, lift it back and lift the outer panel of the bag away, so you're only stitching up here. And then all the way along the top and down the other side, and then that's the pocket complete. We're then going to deal with the side pockets. So I've got my pieces cut out here, my outer and my lining. And then what you're going to do is pop these right sides together. And I would definitely pop some pins in here, because what we're going to do is this curved side here. So you're going to stitch a 1/4 inch seam all the way around to the other side of the curve. And then you're going to clip into that curve and turn it the other way. So I've got one here that I've stitched. There we go. So I've stitched them round. I've turned it over, give it a good press, and then I've top stitched close to the edge all the way just around that curve. And you're going to leave the other 3 sides free at this point. So you've got your side pockets done now. We're now going to do the other large pocket on the other side of the bag. So this is the one opposite to the zip side. So you're going to have your pieces cut out. Again, I've got my outside piece and my lining piece. And you're going to pop them right sides together. And we're going to stitch, again, 1/4 inch seam all the way along the top. Pop some pins in if you need to. And then we're going to turn it over. So you're only stitching this top side. You're going to turn it over and give it a press. And then we're going to give it a lovely row of top stitching along the top. So we can see on this one here that we've got, there we go, turned it over, give it a press. And then the next thing we need to do on here, if I turn this one the other side, we need to put a magnetic fastener on this side. So this is my lining side, this side. The magnetic fastener on this side. You could use the plastic snap fasteners as well, or you could actually leave the fastener off. It's totally up to you, but we've put a magnetic one on there. We then need to get this laid onto the other outer piece. So we had the other outer panel that we made. So one we've put the zip in, and this is the one we're going to put the pocket on. So we're going to lay that like that. We're going to pop this perfectly on the top, and because you've used those patterns to cut your pieces out, this will lay perfectly on the top of here. And what you can do now is you can see where your other side of your snap fastener needs to go, so you can pop that on there, or your magnetic one, whichever one you're using. You could use a bit of hook and loop as well. Mark that on, and at this point put that other piece on, so you've got that fastened on there. And then with a long stitch on your machine, you're going to do what's called a basting stitch. And that's where you're stitching very close to the edge, all the way around these 3 sides. And what that's going to do, it's going to keep your pocket in place for when we start constructing the bag, and it's not going to move about. So once we've got these sides all basted here, to hold this in, you're then going to take some of those pieces that you've put together already. So we're going to take that side pocket, and we'll have 2 of those. You need 2 of those, and also the side panel that we've cut as well. So you're going to take this piece of your outside of your bag, and the side panel actually fits on here. And you're going to look here and think, oh, that looks a little bit too long. But what happens is when you put the right sides together and sew them, this curve will then form the actual, like a flush curve. Okay? And then we've got the side pocket that's going to sit on top of that side panel. So we're going to stitch these together. So you're going to put your pocket on, line up the edge to the edge of the main panel. There we go. And then you're going to take this piece and lie that over the top, so that's sandwiching that pocket in that side. And then what you're going to do is stitch all the way down here. So I'll just pop a couple of pins in there for now. And again, it's your regular 1/4 inch seam. You are going to be now going through quite a few layers. So if you find that your machine struggles, you can always pop a longer stitch on your machine. So we'll just pin that for now. So once you've stitched that, if I open this up, you'll see now, and we see now how we've got a lovely curve forming there, and we can just chop that little dog ear off. So once you've stitched that side on, then you're going to take the piece that you made earlier with the zip pocket in, which is this piece here, and we're going to pop that onto the other side of here. So similar process, Just lie it over the top, lining up your edges. Like that. Pop some pins in, and again, you're going to stitch all the way up that side. And then once you put that pocket on, you're then going to join both those ends so it becomes a big hoop like this. So we can see that we've got a big hoop all the way around. Okay, and now that's the outside panel of your bag all complete. We can now pop the base in the bag, but before that we need to put our bag feet on. So these are optional. If you don't want to put them on, you don't have to, but they actually just finish a bag off really well. And also if you're putting the bag down anywhere, the bag feet stops any wet or dirt getting onto the bottom of your bag. So I'm going to use our Create a Corner tool for this, and I'm going to pop them in at 1.5 inches from each corner. So you're going to mark it with the tool, and then you're going to put a hole in there, and you're going to attach all of your bag feet, like that, through all of the holes on all 4 corners. And then once you've done that, you'll have your bag base ready to insert. So if we take the main panel with all of the pockets attached, so I can show you how we put this in the bottom of the bag. So we're going to go to the base of the bag, and I find it easier to attach the side sections first. So if we turn it round here, so we know it's the side section because it has that pocket on there. So I'm going to put the fabric right sides together, and I'm going to take some clips. I like to use clips for this. And I'm just going to clip those in, a couple in there. And then I like to go to the other side. You'll find your own way of doing this. You might prefer to do the long sides first. So I'm going to pop. And because I put those bag feet 1.5 inches away, when you come in to stitch this, you're not going to be anywhere near the prongs of the back of the bag feet. So put some clips in there. So we've got both the short sides done, and then we can then open it out and attach, and you'll see that it fits perfectly. So we'll pop a clip in there. You can use pins as well. There we go. So we've got that side. You can see how it's starting to form and fit in to that space. So I'll just turn it round and do the other side. There we go. And one more. You can put more in if you need to. There we go. So I've got the base all inset there ready, and now all you need to do is stitch all the way around this rectangle on the machine, and that's going to secure the base into your bag. We're now going to put our lining pieces together. So you're going to cut the same as you cut the outer fabric in the panels. You're going to cut your main panels out and the handle panels, and then you're going to join them together in exactly the same way and do the top stitching along here. But with my lining pieces, I've attached my wadding onto the back. So you're going to need 2 of those. So we've got those 2 done, and also you'll need to cut out your side panels and your base panel. But we're going to deal with these handle parts first. So we're going to take that outer section like this, and it's going to seem a little bit strange what we're doing, but it really, really works. It's like magic. We're going to lay down one of these handle pieces, and you don't need to worry about all of this being all in a pile, because the only thing we're concentrating on is the handle. You're going to take one of those outer lining pieces and you're going to lay it on top. And what we're going to do is match that circle. Okay. Now you can use pins or clips. I like to use pins for this because you want it to keep it quite accurate. I'm just going to turn it to the side to make it easier to pin. So you're just going to get it all lined up. And I like to do opposite sides first. That way. And then opposites this way. And if you can see a little bit of the fabric underneath, just give it a little nudge. And it will line up perfectly. There we go. And because it's a circle, this is forming the handle of the bag. You want it to be as neat as possible when you're stitching. So it is worth putting in those extra pins just to keep all of those sections flat. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take that to your sewing machine and you're going to stitch a 1/4 inch seam all the way around here. And then you're going to do the same with the other side of the bag with the other lining piece. So I've given those a good press so we can see now that they've all been turned through. So now what we want to do is go back to the lining pieces and we want to add on those side panels first. So you've got your main piece here and then we've got the side panels. Again, we've got one on the back of there. We're going to stitch one onto that side and one onto that side. And then once we've stitched those on, you're then going to bring in the other lining panel and they're going to stitch on the sides. So it's going to make a hoop like it did when we made the outer section. Once you've stitched those on, you're then going to go ahead and fit the base piece. So we've got those side panels on, we've got the base in, so now we want to turn it through. So if you look at the top, you've got a gap here that you can pull everything through. And the other thing what we're going to do is once we get this turned through, we're going to put a magnetic fastener on at the base where the handles are. So you'll see that shortly when I get this turned through. I'm going to push the lining inside. Give that a shake. And we can see now how the bag is really starting to come together. So if I flip that handle back there, so this is the lining fabric and this is where you're going to put a magnetic fastener if you want to put one on. You don't need to, totally your choice. Again, you could put a plastic snap fastener on there as well. So you can decide whether you're going to pop that on. And then the next thing we want to do is start looking at the tabs on the side, which are going to incorporate your strap. So if I pop that to the side there. And what we've got is we've cut our pieces, so we'll cut 2 of these out of the pattern. And then you're going to put it right sides together and just stitch with a 1/4 inch seam. And then you're going to turn it, or both of them, so you're going to cut 2, turn them through the other way. So we've got 2 tabs for the side of the bags. And then we've got 2 D-rings as well. So if I just bring the bag back in, and this time we're going to look at the side panel. So if you open it up on the outside piece, what you're going to do is you're going to take your tab, pop your D-ring through there, and then you're going to find the centre of the side panel, and you're going to pop that on there and clip it. And then you're going to do exactly the same on the other side. So you're then going to baste those on just to keep those in place along the top of the bag. So the other thing we need to do is look at the handle. So with the handle, we've got a strip of fabric and it gives you the measurements in the booklet of how wide and long to cut your fabric. And you're going to press it in half first, wrong sides together, all the way along like that, and then open it up And then you can see how I've just folded those back in on themselves, just to meet up in the centre, over to the middle, all the way along, and give that a press. And then you're going to do a top stitch down both sides just to close those edges and give it that decorative look. And then you're ready to put the lobster clasps on. So these can be called snap clasps, snap hooks, lobster clasps. There's many different names for them, but what's going to happen is if I bring the bag in, once your bag's finished, you've got your tag in here, and that is going to clip on the side of your bag when you finish. So the last thing we've got to do is the binding. So again, you get the measurements in the instructions that you're going to cut your fabric, and then you're going to press it wrong sides together just in half. So just the one press for this one. And if you've got an extra long piece, you'll join in the centre. There we go. So if you do a join, do it on the diagonal and you get it. So then you're going to bind around the top of the bag handles. So if I bring in the section here where I had the D-rings attached, and what you're going to do is leave a tail for finishing later, and you're going to pop it onto, and I'll just clip a little bit so you can see, all the way around that curved edge, matching up your outer panel with your lining. So you're going to clip that, and then you're going to take that to the machine and you're going to stitch a 1/4 inch. So leave that tail for joining later when you get all the way around. You're going to stitch it all the way around, and this is going to go all the way around your handles. So pin it all or clip it all well before you start. You're going to stitch it all the way around, and then once you've got it stitched by machine, you've then got a choice of either finishing it by machine or folding it over and doing it by hand. So to fold it over, see how I've turned it over there, so this pink is the outside of my bag. It's going to encompass all of those raw edges, and then on the inside you're going to stitch that by machine or by hand. And if I bring in the finished bag, you can see where all of that binding has been done, and this one's been finished by hand all the way around the top, and that's to say hiding all of those raw edges, so you've got no raw edges at all. And then the last thing you do is you want to clip your handle on to get the finished bag. So if you love your bags and you're fancy turning your hand to this one, it's absolutely amazing. You've got the zip pocket, you've got the side pocket, you've got that side pocket as well. Then the Threaders Cambridge Carry All is for you.